Want to bring in Peter King from Sports Illustrated. You can, of course, read his Monday Morning Quarterback, SI.com. Peter, what do you make of what's going on in Indy?
Well, I make of it that Jim Irsay doesn't think there's any way that Peyton Manning is going to be able to pass the Colts team physical when he has to take it in 2 weeks or so. I think Irsay would like, deep down, I think Irsay would like Peyton to play for the Colts or to play for nobody. Because I think that Jim Irsay doesn't want Peyton Manning to finish his career the way he saw John Unitas finish his career after leaving Baltimore. And so, I mean, look, there's some selfishness involved with Irsay. There's no question about it. He doesn't want Manning to go somewhere and win a Super Bowl for the Washington Redskins or Miami Dolphins or something like that. But and I agree with you. I think it's a little bit of a stare down. I would be very surprised if Manning agrees to go back to Indianapolis. I just think it's just a bad fit right now.
But let's say he takes an incentive-laden contract. Let's say that he will take less money. With Indy. But,
yeah, I don't know why you would, but anyway, go on.
But if you have him under that scenario, he's going to have that contract that says, I'm going to take every single snap, because he's not going to give Andrew Luck any run here. So he's going to say, every single snap I get this, and you can build in all the incentives. But Peyton is not going to want to play for one more year. So at what point do you have to end this and it ends badly because you have Andrew Luck waiting? I don't think there's any other scenario other than the one I've said for the last 6 weeks, and that is, Peyton, thank you. We're moving on, rebuilding an entire franchise.
That's the way the Colts should do it, because Manning will be a shadow over that franchise, and the question always will be, is Peyton healthy? Is Peyton healthy? Can he throw? What does he feel like today? What's your arm like today? What's your neck like today? I mean, that's what it's going to be forever. Yep. Why would you want to hamstring yourself with that?
I agree.
I think Jimmy Irsay just needs to do the smart thing here. Give Peyton a gold watch, thank him for everything, and set him free. All the other alternatives, to me, exactly as you say, are not smart.
He's Peter King from Sports Illustrated. What do you think Peyton Manning wants?
I think in his ideal world, they've kept Clyde Christensen. They have Bruce Arians there. I think in his ideal world, he would go back and be the quarterback of the Colts for 3 more years. They try to make one more run with them re-signing Robert Mathis and having Dwight Freeney there. He'd probably lose Reggie Wayne. But I think he'd like to make one more run. You talk to Tony Dungy, as we did so many times. Peyton wants familiarity.
Yep.
Even though he moans about, hey, if everything is so different here, all my guys, they're all gone. Well, it's going to be 5 times worse if he goes to Washington or Miami. So I think deep down, he wants them to exercise the $28 million option and to trust him that by opening day he'll be a quarterback. And then I think he wants Jimmy to stay out of his life. Not altogether, but I mean, I think he just wants Jimmy to stay in the owner's office, and let the team get handled by the team.
Tell me where you are on this Hall of Fame vote. Are you ready to surrender your Hall of Fame vote?
I'm thinking about it very seriously, Dan, because, I don't know. It's changed a lot in the 20 years that I've been on it. There seems to be very little, what's the right word to say? There seems to be very little that anybody on the committee can do to stem the tide, both nationally, locally, in every city, that everybody thinks the Hall of Fame is a piece of crap. I mean, that's the only thing I hear from all comers. That everywhere that you guys are doing it wrong, the Hall of Fame is wrong, this is screwed up, that's screwed up. It's deflating after a while. It just really is. And plus, I agree with those people who say, why should people have why should people be handed a voting key when they're 35 years old and have it until they're dead, which in essence is the way the Hall of Fame voting committee has worked unless you stop covering football. I've been doing it for 20 years. If I keep covering football for another 20 in some way or another, I'll be a voter forever. Now, a lot of people think that's good because, then you have some people who appreciate the history of the game a little bit, but a lot of people think that, in essence, what you need to do is you need to rotate fresh people in, so maybe we once and for all can settle this wide receiver thing, for instance, or settle this, that, or the other thing with new voices, which would be okay with me.
What if
you
you
want
had
to have term limits? That's fine.
What about former players? I know it's writers, but if you had...
I'm fine with... I think if you do that, Dan, I think what you have to do, players, officials, coaches, all that stuff, then you have to have 32 of them. You have to have one of them from every team. Because I just don't think it'd be fair to have Jack Ham there without having Doug Deacon. Or, whatever. If you're going to have a Steeler, you got to have a Brown. If you're going to have a Brown, you got to have a Bengal. If you're going to have a Bengal, you got to have a Bronco. So, so in that case, that would up the number of voters to 76. Now, as I've said many times, that's absolutely fine with me, and in many ways, I think it would improve the process. But if you think that that's going to solve any of the arguments about this guy being in, that guy being in, it's foolish. You're still only going to have 5 modern-era candidates in every year, so there's going to be another 15 that people are screaming, why don't you put this guy in? So, and again, I am not doing this because I had rabbit ears. That is not the reason. The reason is after a while you say exactly, really, why am I doing this? What is the benefit for this masochistic deed to go into it every year? Tell me, what's the benefit? And I'm trying to figure out what it is right now.
I can hear it in your voice. You had the Randy Moss, Chris Carter back and forth, and Moss talked about the Hall of Fame and karma. It's a bitch, and basically talking about why Carter hasn't gotten into the Hall of Fame. I know that he apologized for that with Chris Carter, but personality, keeping Chris Carter out of the Hall of Fame?
I have not heard it one time. I can't talk about what we talk about in those meetings, but I feel I've wanted to say this for a long time, and I've bordered on saying this, but I'll say it straight out right now. Chris Carter is not being left out of the Hall of Fame because people think he's a jerk. I don't hear it, Dan. There's 44 people in that room. I've never heard in the time that he's been up, Carter's an idiot. I never heard it. I don't know where it comes from. Do people deep down, do they think that Carter was a selfish player? Maybe, because at times he was. Do people really dislike Bill Parcells because he was a jerk to them? It's possible. I don't hear it in the discussions. But do people, if people feel that way, are they going to announce it? I doubt it. But I don't hear it on either guy. And Dan, I'm just telling you, this is an honest, rational debate, in my opinion, between Chris Carter and Andre Reed. And it's a debate that may not get solved. And that's one of the reasons why maybe if guys like me who feel stridently one way or the other get out, maybe the argument can be settled. It happens in Washington when they elect a new Congress. So who knows? Maybe we should. I don't really know what the right thing or the wrong thing to do here is, but all I know is that instead of it being the big honor that it used to be, it's just a source of angst.
When will you make your decision on future voting?
I don't have to make it for a while. I mean, probably sometime this spring or summer. The only reason I wrote what I wrote yesterday is because I wanted people to understand that, I try, as I said in the column, I try to be as honest as humanly possible with the people who read me. And because the world has changed. The journalism world has changed. Columns have changed. I talk to my readers a lot personally and say, here's exactly what I'm thinking right now. And so I try to do that, to tell them exactly what it is I'm thinking, so that if on June 1st I basically write a letter to the hall and say, hey, it's been fun, but I don't want to do this anymore. It won't come out of left field. I don't know what I'm going to do yet or not. I do know that it's something that has been weighing on my mind a lot, not just this year, for the past 2 or 3 years, really.
Good to visit with you. Keep your head up. You sound down.
I'm all right, Dan. Everything's okay.
Thank you,
Thanks
bud.
a lot.
All right. Peter King, Sports Illustrated, Football Night in America. I know that it beats him up because you think you're doing something good and you only hear about the negatives. It'll be, how did you put that guy in? How did you not put that guy in? Very rarely are you complimented where they go, you know what, great job with that class. So I think that that's where he's looking at saying, you know, the benefits of this, they don't outweigh the negative. And I think it's a constant there for him.